Hey everybody, I want to talk about the bucket system and why I've constantly said it doesn't make sense. I just did a video on the 4% withdrawal rate. Don't think that really makes sense. It's okay for a rule of thumb as I kind of throw it out there. If you're just kind of calculating, trying to figure out about how much can I pull from my portfolio. Sure, but where the rubber meets the road, it doesn't really tell you what or when or where or anything. So unfortunately, I feel the same way about the bucket system, and I've seen so many different variations of it. It's just getting hard to know what the original was and who came up with it, and all that gobbledygook and stuff you don't really need to know. You just need to know how to handle your retirement, right? That's what we're really trying to figure out. So, in general, the bucket system says, well, you have a bucket of now money, your bank account money. Okay. That's going to be starting you off. This is money that's liquid, safe. You don't really invest it. It's your bank account money. Then you need a bucket of soon. I've seen, 1 to 5 years, 1 to 3 years, money that you're going to need relatively soon. Again, different variations. This is going to be invested conservatively, but this also seems to tend to include, dividend portfolios, income producing type investments, not just conservative bonds and CDs and fixed indexed annuities and things that kind of help protect your principal. Yeah, well, that's the general idea, but I've seen a lot of them, that includes dividend portfolios. And then later, things that you need 5 years and beyond. We're not going to worry about this right now, so we can invest it in the stock market and let it ride. Okay? That's in general the concept of the bucket system. Now, when it comes to refilling your bank account, when you need money, you pull from soon. You refill your bank account as needed from the soon bucket, and then theoretically, the later bucket needs to be refilling the soon bucket. Okay? Every time I see this, it drives me nuts because I look at it and say, well, not only am I seeing endless variations, I don't know how much I'm allowed to pull. How do I figure out how this plays into tax efficiency? If I'm selling investments here and putting them in here, and then selling them and putting them in here, I have a hard time managing taxation if we're doing this, right? So then when do I move? It doesn't talk about timing. It doesn't talk about any of that. If I move from each bucket each year, aren't they all now buckets? I logically look at this and say, well, wait a second. If every year I need to refill my bank account, or even worse, every month, I'm depleting the soon bucket. So I do need to refill that soon bucket. So then I'm pulling from my growth, future bucket, and I'm putting into my soon bucket, and now I'm pulling it and putting. I struggle with it. I don't like the message because when I see what the end result is people that think they understand what they're doing, but they're missing so many efficiencies. There are so many efficiencies that the very basic version of what people's understanding of this is, we lose out quite a bit. All right. So it makes you less efficient. There's too much movement all the time and it doesn't make sense. So I'm going to change the point of view on this a little bit. And functionally, there's really one slight difference that I consider an enormous difference. But then I also put some rules on it for you that will help you in terms of general efficiency. Okay, so the first thing is that first bucket, I just want you to think about it as your bank account. Any bank account, checking, savings, this is your cash money. Okay. I want you to have 1 year's worth of cash money in there that your income doesn't cover. So if your budget is 60 grand this year, maybe you're single and you're going to spend 60 grand in the upcoming year, and 40 grand of it is covered by Social Security and pension income. Well, then you should have $20,000 in the bank account. That's the money you need to survive for the next upcoming year based on the budget. And again, not down to the pennies, just an idea in general of what you're going to need for the upcoming year. If your budget's 150,000 and you've got 60,000 in guaranteed income from pension and Social Security, then you're going to need another 70,000 in the bank account. But I also want you to put a cushion in there. And a cushion is not hundreds of thousands of dollars. A cushion is, what if my air conditioner goes out, my car breaks down, my heater breaks, whatever the case may be. You need a few extra thousand, right? Some people it's a few, some people it's 20, 30, 50. That's fine. Getting into hundreds of thousands of dollars is not a cushion you need. You can't be fired from retirement. And if you do, you don't need your money. We used to have big cushions in our bank account in case we lost our job so we could pay our bills, 6 months worth of bills. You can't be fired from your Social Security and pension. So that income will come in. We need 1 year's worth of money realistically, okay? So that establishes the bank account. And I want you to do this in November, end of the year, every year. Refill the bank account for the upcoming year, and I only want you doing it once a year. Next, you have safe investments and stock market investments. It's really that simple. I don't need time frames on these. I need some safe investments to pull from when the stock market's not doing well. But here's the hard part that people need to drill into their heads. The stock market is meant to be pulled from when it is doing well. So when things are going great, you want to lock in those profits. Okay? You're not missing out on an opportunity. You're locking in those profits. It's so important that we transition. We're trying to spend this money and we want it sustainable. And that's how you're going to make it sustainable. We're withdrawing profits. We're locking those profits in. If you are always pulling profits, you're never going to run out of money. So strategically, I want a bucket of investments there in case we have a down year in the stock market. And when things are going well in the stock market, we're going to scrape off some of those profits. We're going to lock them in. Okay. So it's real simple. Refill towards the end of the year for a fresh start. We want one withdrawal a year. You will manage your taxation, where you're withdrawing from, all these things so much more efficiently by refilling that bank account once a year. Okay. Do the math. You want a guideline on how much to pull? It's not 4%. Might be for you, but the reality is take your total savings, and I have plenty of videos on this math. Total savings divided by years left in retirement. This is your ironclad way of never running out of money unless you were wrong and you live way longer than you thought you did. So that's the first rule right there to this calculation is calculate 5 years past you think the wildest, longest you could possibly live. You think you're going to live another 20 years at most? Then do 25. Calculate to 100 is what I typically tell people until they argue with me, and then I pull it back a little. You miscalculate here, well, yeah, you could run out of money. That's right. The 4% withdrawal rate, that was in general statistically likely to make it 30 years. Well, I know people doing a lot more than 30 years in retirement, and I know people doing a lot less than 30 years. I don't want something that only works for people that are going to do 30 years. I want it for 10 years, 50 years, whatever your scenario is. You might already be 80. You should be able to withdraw more than 4% if you're already 80. So as a rule of thumb, total amount of savings divided by how many years you have left in retirement. Okay? The larger your withdrawal rate, the greater the effect of volatility. What this tells you is the larger the percentage that you're pulling out. If you're pulling 1% out, then you can have a lot of money in the stock market. Volatility doesn't affect you. Whereas you're pulling 4, 5, 6% on up, well, then certainly safe, stable investments are going to be more needed. Okay? And then from there, strategically withdraw from IRA, Roth, and after tax, non-qualified, brokerage, trust, whatever you call all this other money that is not Roth or IRA to maximize tax efficiency. If you're really savvy, you know what qualified dividends are. You know the difference between qualified dividends and regular, ordinary dividends. These things all make a big difference from a taxation standpoint, but at minimum, you should understand that if you pull $1 out of IRA, it's all taxable. You pull money out of Roth, it's not taxable. The after-tax money, you got to pay taxes on the profits. Okay? So in general, when we're refilling that bank account, if you're in low taxation, you're going to focus withdrawals on IRA. If the market's doing well, you're going to pull from the stock market IRA account. If the things aren't going well, you're going to pull from your safe IRA investments. If you're in really high taxation this year, maybe you're going to be pulling from Roth or at least leaning on Roth. Same thing for the after tax. This is tax advantaged. least it should be. Qualified dividends are taxed at much lower rates, so are long-term capital gains. Roth is not taxed at all. You don't want to deplete this, so you do want to utilize the tax advantaged money in the higher tax years and all as well. This is part of having that cohesive plan, this withdrawal plan, this way to go about your retirement. And it really just involves sitting down once a year, taking inventory, looking at what you have, do this real basic math, then look at your growth investments. Did they do well? Well, then let's focus the withdrawals there to refill the bank account for the upcoming year. If they didn't do well, then hey, let's focus on the safe, stable investments. Withdraw there. Pull from profits. You want to lock those in. That's the goal of this. The worst thing you can do for your portfolio is lock in losses by selling the money and spending it. If you have a position in your stock portfolio you don't like, sell that position, rebuy a better position. The stock market doesn't know where you want it to be. If it's a bad investment, it's a bad investment. Change the investment. That is not locking in losses. That's just trying to make a better future. It's a very different thing when you sell the investment, take it out and spend it. It has no opportunity to grow again. But if you sell something that was profits, you're locking in those profits. That is how your portfolio becomes more and more sustainable. All right. I hope that helps. Jump on yourinvestmentcounselor.com if you're looking for advice or just need help. I've helped people hourly or in the more traditional way as well. You can book a free meet and greet on yourinvestmentcounselor.com. Full classes, if you haven't seen our full classes, they are over Zoom. I do them 3-4 times every single month. You can register for the classes on fpfeaz.org. And those are full form, hour and a half long classes, different topic every single month. Been doing them for 15 years. And now they're all over the internet. So jump on there and join a live class. Certainly give us a call if you need anything. Share, subscribe, do all those wonderful things. I got new videos coming out every single week. So hit that subscribe button and we will see you next week. Thanks again.